I'm going to be installing the ExtremeRate's BEYOND Kit on the DualSense Edge controller. This is an awesome newly released kit that allows you to add 4 back paddles on your DualSense Edge controller. So for the past years, we only had the 2 buttons on the DualSense Edge, and this changes things around. If you want to find out more about this kit and how it works, make sure you check out this video I recently updated on my review of this kit. I used it for a while, played some games with it, and give you guys my personal insights on it. But this video will mainly focus on installing the kit, so let's get started. First, let's go over the kit and see what you guys are going to get. So you're going to get your screwdriver and the screws that you will need for the installation. You're going to get your brand new piece of trim. Now these are the back paddle kit that we're going to be installing. And you're going to get your back shell, depending on which color you choose. So if you go to the website or Amazon, you'll see they have different variations of colors. So you could choose which one you want depending on your controller. And the rest are just miscellaneous little things that we're going to be adding onto the controller, which I'm going to be going over each and one of these during our installation in this video. So there's quite a bit of pieces here. It can get a little bit overwhelming, and I gotta say that this is a pretty long installation. So once we remove that, we have this little release bar here that releases this trim. So what we're going to do is just push it to the right. You see there's a little spring here, and we're just going to remove this. And make sure you have that spring with you because you will need it later on. And let's put this aside. You could also take the triggers out. So here we're going to have these screws here that we're going to take out. Now there's a lot of different screws you're going to take out, and there's different sizes of them. So I have something like this here, so I label which screws go here, and I put them in here in this tray, because when I put this controller back, I don't want to use all of the screws that come with the kit. I want to use the original screws. The screws that come here, there's different sizes here. They're black, so you might screw up and put the wrong screws, and we don't want to do that. So I'm just going to use the original screws and try to label them as best as I could. And some of these screws are longer here, so we just need to make a note of that. So when we put them back, we put the longer ones in these holes here. Okay, now we're just gonna peel this part off and remove the top of the controller. On the back shell, we see that there's little screws here. We just want to take this out. Now this is a tiny screw, so make sure that we label this and we know which screw it is. Take this off, and we can put this aside. So now we're going to remove the triggers. So if you see, we have 1, 2 screw, and there's another one in there, 3, and same on this side. So we're going to go ahead and remove these screws. And I put them in my trigger tray here. So we're going to slowly lift this up, disconnect it, and for now we're going to put it aside. And we'll do the same thing in this one. So you can see there's some hair that got stuck in here. What I like to do when I'm taking apart these controllers is clean it up a little bit once we have all of these areas exposed, because there could be some debris there. So this is a good opportunity to get all of this debris out that's stuck in the little creases. We have 1, 2, and 3 screws here, so we're going to remove those to remove the battery bracket. And the black one is the long one, so we need to remember to put that one into the middle. So we want to make sure that our joysticks are out. So we could go ahead and pull them out. Now we could flip this. Oops. So that was one of the microphones that flew out. So we want to take them out anyways. And we have more screws. So yeah, like I said, there's quite a bit of screws here to take apart. Once we are at this point, we could take the mid frame of the controller and take it out. Just make sure that this cable is there. There we go. As you guys can see how dirty that is. It has a lot of debris in here and stuff. So it's a good time to clean this up a little bit. Blow it with some air. And you guys guessed right. We have more screws here. We're going to take off the touchpad. So 1, 2. So since I have this controller opened up to this point, I have a clicky button kit for the DualSense Edge. So I'm just going to quickly install it. So if you're buying the Beyond kit and you want the clicky tactical buttons, it's very easy to install this because you're already here and you already have everything opened up. Basically what you want to do is you want to take off this membrane, and here's your tactical button membrane. So we're just going to insert it here. And just like that, now we have our tactical buttons switched over. And one more thing we have to do here is we have to remove this membrane. This is the stock membrane. And we want to replace it with this one that came with the tactical button kit. There's these tiny little pins here, so we just want to make sure that each pin is inserted inside the silicone membrane. And now we have these installed, so just a quick detour. Now we could go ahead and go back on finishing up installing the Edge kit. We could go ahead and remove the option and create button here. Get this pried open. I want to get this cable out of there. Here we go. This is what we want here, and we're just gonna go ahead and disconnect this cable. Let's go ahead and take this cable from the kit and install it into the touchpad. Just like that. And now we put it back in here. Just do this like this so we could thread it a little bit easier. Now we just put it together. Use the same screws we did to take it out. One thing I forgot to mention, here we have these tiny springs that fell out. These springs, if they fall out, they actually go right in here. So when you're going to be using the controller, they could fall out. And if you don't know where they go right in here, in this two little holes. Let's put these two buttons here. The options, share button. Start putting this thing together. It's a little bit more dirty here. Let me just blow it. We could put the mid frame now back, so we just want to thread this wire here in this hole. Just like that. Align everything. Perfect. Here we're going to take these longer screws that we used and we're going to put this back in here. Tighten everything up. Just want to make sure everything's good. We have the nice clicky sound. That's what I was looking for. Take the main cable from the Beyond kit and we're going to just put it on top of here. As you can see, we put this one earlier, so we're just going to put this on top. Now when you do this, make sure that you do it on the first try So these things will stick on there good. You don't want to rip them because then it won't stick. Just like that. Now we could take our motherboard back here that we got. Double check that the speaker is intact. Good. Now we could place this on top. We could go ahead, connect this cable here. Okay, now here we have this little opening. So we're going to take this one, kind of loop it around back of that wire. It's a little bit tricky, but we're supposed to open this up and stick this inside. Once it's inside, I'm going to go ahead and close that up. So this is how it should look right now. Let's take our battery bracket here and put it back in place. So we had 3 screws for the battery bracket. We had one long one that went in the middle. We'll start with that one. Here it is if you guys don't remember. In here I see that I made a mistake. So this one needs to go in here. So I'm just gonna undo it real quick. Now we could focus on these triggers and let's take this apart. First, let's take off these 2 screws. If we take a closer look at this small piece here, we're gonna see that there's a tiny little screw, and we're gonna go ahead and take that one out. Now let's remove this little bracket here that holds this in place. It's good to have some tweezers here, it will help you out. And now we could take this piece, push it down here, and we're going to remove this one here. Now we want to remove this little switch here. So if we see here, we want to push it down so it goes just like that. And this piece here, we're going to replace it with the pieces that come with the kit. So this one we could discard. So let's take this new trigger switch that came with the kit and we want to install it here. So you see this little knob here, we want to align it on the bottom. Make sure that you're using the correct one that goes to the correct trigger. I'm just going to push it down and slide it in. Now let's take this little slider here and we're just going to slide it in there. So now the mechanism should work. When you pull it up, push it down, this thing should move and alright. So the final part is we're going to take this little bracket here and we're going to just stick it right here on top. Now I know it's tiny and small. It's probably one of the more difficult parts of the installation, but once we get that in, it should be good to go. So now this is in place and we have our new trigger switches here. So next part is to just install this back on here. Now we have this trigger exposed. We can actually do some cleaning on it so it looks very nice and neat. So now that our trigger is nice and clean, we want to take our bracket that we were working on and align the holes. So we have a 1 hole here and 1 hole here. Just kind of slide it in till the holes are aligned and that it feels that it's in place. And put back our 2 screws. So you want to do the same exact process to the other trigger. Once you get both of these triggers switches here changed up, then we could move forward. So I'm just gonna fast forward this until I get my other trigger in the same way. Now that we have both of our trigger switches installed, we're going to check out our triggers here, and as we can see here on the triggers it says R for the right and the L for the left. We want to take these ribbon cables and we're going to install them. So the R goes for the to the R here. Now that we have both of our triggers done, we could install them back into the controller here. So just maneuver it around until we get a nice good fit. Now we could take our battery and put it back in here. Make sure it's connected. Peel off the sticker on the back of this. We're just going to place it just like that. And now that we're here, we could just go ahead, start putting in these ribbon cables inside. This is a little bit tricky, but we see that we have this slot here. We're going to have to put the cables in here. That's in. So this is what I have so far. All the ribbon cables are connected accordingly, and we're going to be testing it out here soon just to make sure all these connections are good before we start closing it up and moving along. Okay, for the next step here, we're going to take our little motherboard here and we're going to hook this up here. So what we want to do is we want to make sure all the connections are working and everything is installed. There is a self-check mode, so this will tell us if the controller is properly installed so far before we start closing it up, which is very helpful. So once we get this hooked up, we want to get a USB-C cable. So to get into self-check mode, we're going to hold this top button right over here and this one here for around 5 seconds. R1 is air. Okay. So not sure if you guys could see, but it was reading that R1 is air. Doesn't make sense. R1 is there. Let's do it again. R1 air. Huh. It seems that I forgot to connect the cable here, so I think that's why the air is coming up. So let's just go ahead and do that. So this is what I forgot to connect, because I put the triggers in there and I just missed that step. So we're gonna go ahead and do that here. Close this back up. Now I don't recall doing it on this one, so let's just open this up and double check it as well. Yeah, so this one I also didn't do. Close this back up. Alright, now that we got everything connected here, let's run the test again. So now it says test and test OK. I'm going to try to freeze the frame so you guys could see it. But now let's go to our gamepad tester and just check out to make sure that all the buttons are okay. Now what else I like to do is I like to quickly map just to see if the triggers are working properly before I move forward. So let's just hold, let's go to first profile and just map a few buttons here. So Let's map the R2. R1, since we had some problems there with that earlier. L1, just random button, X. So as I can see, everything's working good. And the triggers are working with all the different trigger settings. So now we could be confident that all the connections, everything is done properly, and we could go ahead and start putting in the back paddles and the back shell. Let's get our Extreme Rate back shell and we could start working on this. First we could assemble this little Sony shell that we took off from the original controller. Next we have these slider plastic covers. We took out the original ones from the original controller right here. So we're going to install these on the back case. So these should go underneath the smaller ones. Now let's put the back shell on the controller, put the sliders on the top. We're going to put back the screws that we took out originally. On these two edges, it's the longer brown one. So now we're going to attach this back to the bottom of the controller. This is the switch that unlocks the joysticks. Now the other side of the spring. Attach it just like that. If I check here, one of these clips here tore off, broke out, so that's probably not going to close, so I'm going to try to install this black one here. Maybe this will be a better fit. So now that we have the back assembled, there's a little preset here. The instructions from Extreme Rate show that you need to sand it, but I'm just going to leave it how it is. It's not that big of a deal. Next step is that we're going to take our bracket here for the paddles and we're going to start screwing this on and assembling our back paddles. So that goes in there nice and flush. We're going to take 2 screws, get that attached there. Okay, now we're going to take the paddles. The first one is the K1 and the K3. Just going to align that like that. Snap them on just like that. And it's beginning to look real nice. We have this little silicone cover and this just goes on top of these buttons, so it's a little bit smoother push and they last longer. So just gonna put that on. So this should go flush on here. Make sure that all of these paddles are out of the way. And once we have that there, we want to take this bracket and just place it right on top of the motherboard so it aligns with the holes. And we just want to do a quick field test to make sure the buttons are nice, clicky, responsive, which they are. So the motherboard placement was good. So we have these little 3M double-sided tapes that come with the kit. We want to place one right here like this. Peel this off. Take this off. And place it directly on here. Just don't push on it because this is a screen, it can crack. And almost the last part, the cover with the button here. So we have our screen protector here also. We want to just take this out of here. Take off the tape. And place that right there. Buttons feel nice, good. We could put our bumpers in now. So the kit comes with a trim also. I really like the white one, so I'm gonna go ahead and use that. We also want to put our joysticks in. So there you have it, and now our controller is installed. It's good to go. Let's do a really quick test here just to make sure everything is working properly. I'm gonna hook it up to the gamepad tester again. Let's see. Everything's working. Let's go to a different website. Connect. This is a better testing website that we can use, so we could calibrate our sticks also. So this is the profile I set up, so everything's working here. Then let's do the quick test again just to make sure everything's good. Test okay, so that's good. Now we could test each button and it's going to show you that everything's working fine. That's great. If you guys didn't check out my video for the full review of this controller, make sure you check it out. I'm going to leave it at the end of this video. In this video I go over all of the features and how it functions, mapping, setting it up, and also some gameplay. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Take care.